Hey everybody, welcome to the first recording of the BBET Games Cast. It is a BBET podcast about video games. That's what else. We're here with Superman Jeff 12.
Hey, what's going on?
And Blue Bones.
What's going on,
Your
y'all?
boy.
You already know. It's your boy.
And myself, Sigma. I will be your host. This is our first time doing this, so bear with us. It may be a little shaky, but we're going to try to get through this. Generally, what this podcast is kind of a conversation. It's kind of a bunch of friends who love video games talking about stuff related to video games. But it's not exclusively video games. You know, it can be movies, it can be anime, whatever, nerd culture. We're all knee-deep in it, so you're going to hear about it.
Yep.
We're going to start off by just going real quick, roundtable type thing about what we've been playing. Jeff, you want to start? What have you been spending your time?
I've been playing a ton of The Division. Trying to get ready for that in-game.
Yeah, man.
Whether it's the Dark Zone, the Occupied Dark Zone, trying to get raid ready. Eventually,
Still haven't had a date for the raid, right?
No, but it is, and it's supposed to come out with patch Title 3, which is in the second stages in the PTS servers. The next stage is it comes to live. It was supposed to come out April 25th. It got pushed back, so I'm thinking next week or the week after, on a Tuesday, it should be coming out.
I'm hoping that they pushed it back for good reason. You know what I mean? They actually took their time and made it right, because this game has come out the shop buggy, and they fixed it, and then it gets buggy again, and so there's a lot that's going on with this game. I hope they push it back for a good reason.
Honestly, I feel like it did come out. I mean, there was like one or two issues when it first released, but honestly, like especially in comparison to a game like Anthem,
we can't.
Kind of came out the gate like doing this thing. It was really.
I don't think that's fair to say compared to Anthem.
Yeah, especially compared to the First Division as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the First Division as well. Like all sorts of games and services, they kind of launch in like kind of broken and disappointing states, and then it's like months and months before they become something that people want to spend time in. The Division 2 kind of really nailed it at the start.
You think so?
For the most part. Little things.
I can agree with that.
I just feel like the basic mechanics of the game, the basic stuff, wasn't working. Like, for example, your skills. You know what I mean? Like,
that was.
Yeah, I think that's a huge mess up that somehow was overlooked. And that's why I'm saying I think they need to make sure they sit down, take the time, check all the boxes, and make sure they get it right. Or at least much closer to right.
And they've been good at doing frequent updates. Usually Wednesdays they do their State of the Game, which kind of goes over the overall way the game's working, anything's wrong with it, things that need to be fixed.
A blog post or a video thing?
Yeah, it's kind of like a couch podcast.
Gotcha. Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I'll put the link in on the Facebook pages, so you guys can check it out and other people can watch it as well.
Destiny 2 did that for a while too.
Right. With IG and the Fire Team chat.
I'm pretty sure that's a whole separate thing, but like
Bungie did one too.
Bungie would do like kind of a regular update type thing. So that's what's up. Anything else? Just the Division 2 mostly?
Yeah, I want to get back to Sakura. And we all just started playing Groove Wars.
Come on, War Groove, man.
Yeah. But I would, I'm hoping we can find out a way to kind of speed it up a little bit, because I would like to do multiple games.
Yeah.
And I don't even remember Warcraft taking as long as that. So
granted, Warcraft is not turn-based. That's the issue.
That's the other thing. So the turn-based is you might got somebody who moves a little slow. I'm not pointing any fingers at anybody. And you might have some other people who move a little fast. So,
I don't know what this accusation is.
So, I didn't say you in particular.
You know what I'm saying?
But you're not pointing no fingers, but there were fingers that were pointed at me. So.
Look, man.
I think that
it
was
just
blue.
Be like that sometimes.
But yeah, I mean that's pretty much all I've been playing besides Smash Brothers.
Okay.
Of course, everyone's playing Smash Brothers.
Trying to
Blue,
get
what about you?
Everyone's playing Smash Brothers. I need to practice a little bit more on Smash Brothers, but this is the thing. I'm doing. You know me. I stay on Overwatch. It's an addiction. I should get help, but right now I'm on Overwatch. I love it. Final Fantasy 14, obviously, I do that on a regular basis, and just like you guys said, Wargroove. I'm really in love with the visuals of this game and the music, and the mechanics feel like a watered down Fire Emblem. So I don't have as much flexibility as I would have wanted in this game, but I'm still enjoying it so far. So we're going through the story on the stream, and it's cute, it's fun. I like it.
Yeah, I peeped some of that. It's kind of cool. Like it's kind of like with the guard who was like chasing the queen around because she left her crown behind.
Yeah. He like tripped and fell and stuff like that. The animations are hilarious, and you can tell they put a lot of love in the art of this game.
Yeah, like even down to little stuff, the way the different units interact with each other is pretty cool.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's dope. It really gets deep. And like you're saying, it's like a watered down Fire Emblem. That's literally Advance Wars, which is Nintendo's other turn-based tactics game. Like it's exactly the same way that Advance Wars did it. It's kind of like Nintendo's not doing anything with Advance Wars. You know what? We're gonna make an Advance Wars.
Might
and
as
they literally did that.
I think, and it could be possible that they didn't want to resurrect Advance Wars and bring back old fans. They wanted to still use the same formula. They made it something different so people of today's gaming age can claim that as their own.
Makes sense. I don't see why they wouldn't want to bring old fans back. Like I feel like old fans would definitely flock to that. Like I feel like they did it for that purpose. Like there was a need for an Advance Wars style turn-based game,
right?
And they kind of just jumped on it.
I feel that.
But as for me, I've also been playing Wargroove. I've also been playing The Division. Also been playing Smash, of course. But something new, Splitgate, Arena Warfare. That it's an open.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's literally its premise is Portal meets Halo.
Right.
Saw some of that.
Right.
It's a new battle arena.
Right. It's like arena multiplayer, so it doesn't favor the aim down sights or whatever. It looks and feels like Halo, but it has the Portal mechanics. So you can literally
saw the Portal,
yeah, put an opening, place an exit. It carries your momentum, so you can drop down super far, shoot a portal at the ground, shoot a portal somewhere else. It's right now only on PC. I do think they want to eventually bring it to consoles. Like I prefer to play it there because I tried the mouse and keyboard thing and I cannot do it. If you ask me to do anything other than WASD with the keyboard, like like move like strafe with the keyboard, it's a wrap.
CXC.
Like nothing else. My fingers aren't trained to do anything else. So I just plugged in my controller and just. And you notice like it's a cardinal sin to like use a controller in a PC shooter.
Yeah.
I used to do that with X-Pad.
With what?
Secret World. X-Padder.
Well, I mean that's more of that was like an MMO type thing.
Yeah.
Secret World.
Then it was like because like I can't get used to the whole. I finally did with League of Legends, but like the forward and using the ASFFD, those like type of situations.
I hate it. I really do hate it. So I use a controller. I'm not ashamed to say that. And I felt like I did okay. Like I was playing mostly bots at first just to kind of get the hang of it. I was playing. I did a couple matches with one of the other reviewers at Gameumentary because he's actually reviewing it. So we were doing some matches together.
Pretty cool.
Some custom matches, and like it has a good skeleton. Like it doesn't seem like it's there just yet.
Yeah.
But it doesn't release until like the 22nd, and it's gonna be like you can tell already it's a thing that they're gonna be trying to iterate on. So they'll be updating and making changes and whatnot. So hopefully over time it's like a super strong shooter that eventually makes it to consoles because I would love to play it there. But it's a strong concept. I wouldn't say I was having a ton of fun with it, but like I really do love the idea. Like Halo and Portal meshed together is like $1 million idea. So I hope they actually find a bunch of success.
That's what's up.
But all right, so that's what we've been playing. We're gonna then move into our topics. First thing we're looking at is a new Spider-Man movie, Far From Home. The trailer has just dropped. Well, we won't get into any spoilery stuff. There's like a spoiler warning at the beginning of that trailer. But Jeff, you specifically wanted to talk about the introduction of the Marvel Multiverse because they kind of hinted that in that trailer.
Yes. So whatever happens in Endgame creates a ripple effect where in Spider-Man Far From Home, you see Mysterio. So everybody's assumed Mysterio was actually going to be a villain in this, but actually he is a hero.
Wait, in the trailer or
in the new trailer?
In the trailer, okay.
So in the new trailer, it talks about Fury tells and Mysterio tells Spider-Man that he's from Earth. I believe he said 616.
Yeah.
Isn't that the comic one?
Yes, there's a comic one.
But like the main comic series, like 616, that's the one that they all belong to.
No, that's not the one they belong to.
Oh, all right.
Right now, the Earth is usually Earth 1. The one that you are from, the main one, is always usually Earth 1.
Right.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. I thought they were just throwing out random area codes.
Usually. And the cool thing is, if you remember, there was the big event where there was the Ultimate Universe and there was the main Marvel
and
Universe.
They like meshed them together.
And there was a war, and they kind of meshed them together. Miles Morales came over, stuff like that.
Right.
So it seems like the introduction of the different universes opens up possibilities of different heroes, and also the possibility of the X-Men and stuff coming over, Fantastic Four. It'll explain why some of these people were never heard of.
You know what? I didn't even think of that. That's actually kind of dope. Because, people have been worrying about how they're going to fit. Because Wanda, for example, is an X-Man, but they called her and her brother something different. And now this can kind of retcon a bunch of stuff that they need to kind of bring that property that they just got back into the fold. So that makes a lot of sense.
To do this right? No, I think there's more potential to do this wrong than there is to do this right, to be honest.
With their track record, I believe they've done a pretty good job. And I think you'll be excited because the Ultimate Universe also introduces he's called the Blue Marvel.
Oh, man, yeah. I want a Blue Marvel movie so bad.
Yes, he is actually way more powerful than anybody you could possibly think of as far as like Captain Marvel, Thor, and he's actually a black superhero.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Like his storyline is dope. Honestly, I'm not so hot on him being so powerful because you can run into the same issues as Superman. Like, who are you gonna get to fight someone who's that strong?
But his storyline, backstory,
like his storyline was like really dope. You can start to get into shaky territory because multiverse stuff, and I feel like DC does this a lot, especially in the comics. Yeah. Like it gets to be so much. Like there are so many versions of these characters interacting with one another. Like there's all these
and they always try and pay homage to way too many things, and it just makes the movie weird. You know what I mean?
Right. And they do a lot of weird stuff too. Like like a Power Girl. Like she's what, like a Supergirl from just some other dimension or whatever, right? Like that's her backstory.
No, they did that differently. Originally, Supergirl was a clone that was made by Cadmus. If you're familiar by Cadmus, it was kind of the way
like
Superboy.
Amanda Waller's.
Yeah, she was a clone of Supergirl, who they aged, supposed to be to her peak. So that's kind of how she came about.
Oh, okay. Goodness. Yeah.
But also, there's been a lot of retconning where origins have been different from like the New 52. Up until the current, Action Comics and stuff. So a lot of origins have been retcons, but have changed multiple times.
Yeah.
So you can see they can kind of easily fall into like some lazy writing pitfalls because they can so easily just undo something or change something in the past or kind of do away with whole storylines or characters even.
And that's what
multiverse stuff.
That's what turned me off of the X-Men series in general, right? There's been some cool X-Men movies, but not as a series, not as a whole story, because when they started doing Days of Future Past and then they just started basically retroactively canceling other movies, I was just like, I don't know.
Well, here's
it
the thing.
Really hard
That's
to
the
follow.
difference between time travel and multiverses. Multiverses deal with where,
parallel
for
time.
Example, you had Peter Parker in the current Marvel universe, and in the Ultimate Universe had Peter Parker. He was dead. And you had Miles Morales. where it helps introduce new characters. If they introduce Miles Morales in the current Marvel universe, not the cinematic universe,
Right.
it would have been like, well, where'd he come from?
Okay.
Right.
This gives you a platform to tell this character's origins and helps them create their own story without having to worry about what's going on in this one.
Okay.
So
I
it
feel
can,
that.
like you said, it can't be done wrong, but it also doesn't give them. It's different with time travel where they can go back and change something or this and that where this person didn't happen. This gives you a whole other, essentially a cinematic universe to do what you want, where you don't have to worry about smudging over another character's origins or explaining where these characters were during the whole attack on New York. Like if you were in New York and there was supposed to be a Daredevil movie, where was he during the attack?
Yeah.
You can't just go back and say, oh, well, he was doing this. No. This explains that he was on a different Earth. They might not necessarily had an attack on New York.
In New York. I feel that. So, yeah.
I mean, they did reference the attack on New York in those Netflix
Actually,
series.
they did.
I was just saying that they did like a Daredevil.
That was a for instance. But the fact that those shows are getting canceled now, I wonder if this multiverse thing will somehow
wipe the slate.
like try to use that to maybe even erase them and say like, oh, that was a slightly different Earth where the Avengers were there, but in this Earth, none of these guys were here.
And see, that's exactly what I'm talking about. It's really scary when they start bringing up that kind of stuff.
And to piggyback off of that, isn't that Loki movie also kind of diving into this exact same thing? Well, not movie.
The Loki is supposed to be a TV show. Yeah,
it's a TV series where he's using a Tesseract to do that same thing. Like he's using the Tesseract Space Stone to kind of jump through time and multiverses, right? Or
have
no?
they said what that
or
was
is it just
supposed to be
time?
about? Because I haven't seen what his
I didn't
show
get
is
a
supposed to be about.
Well, the subtitle is God of Mischief. So Loki, God of Mischief. So he's supposed to be, and it's the earliest version of Loki before he kind of found a conscience at all. So he's supposed to.
It could be a prequel.
Yeah. Well, it's not even a prequel. It's kind of like a side quel that takes place alongside all this other stuff, but doesn't have to interact with it because they have this multiverse thing.
Yes.
I can see that.
Because that would be a separate Earth. So they don't have the ability to travel to alternate Earths. The Bifrost only gives them the ability to try to the different realms like Earth and stuff like that. So if they're going to do Loki, it would be if they were going to do the multiverse Loki, it would be a different version of Loki. So let's say Loki on Earth, whatever, might not have became the god of mischief. Let's say he became the god of thunder. He became Thor.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what if they did a multiverse situation, that would kind of come about. I think the show is kind of going to focus on more of
a side quest.
Yeah, him being away from different events when other stuff was going on and what he was doing.
Yeah, and he'll probably like cause little things to happen that the Avengers had to deal with that no one really found out about, different things like that.
But they could do like a different Loki, where a different Earth or a different universe where he didn't die, and this is what happened.
Okay, I mean, either way, I'm probably gonna check that show out. Like, it sounds dope.
It looks cool.
They got a few shows coming out on there that actually look pretty cool.
Yeah.
On that platform.
Okay, well, everybody's gonna go see Spider-Man. That's my favorite superhero. Just as a throw that in there. But
is it though?
We also we're gonna move on to our next topic.
Yeah.
Jeff, you also wanted to bring this up. Borderlands 3. It's been announced. It's been given a release date.
What do you guys think? If you haven't seen any of the gameplay trailers that have been up, a lot of press has been given early access to it.
Yeah, there was like a gameplay reveal. I think just a week ago or so. So there was a lot of like YouTubers, influencers, and regular media that went and got like I want to say an hour or two hands on.
Yes. What do you guys think about what you've seen so far?
I saw some, not all, of what was there. I tried to watch like the entire conference thing, but it was actually like super long-winded. Like it was like a good hour or so of just like the hosting. They had like Greg Miller from Kind of Funny Games and Fran Marabella from Kind of Funny Games /IGN, who were like doing like a bunch of intro stuff. And I tried to start from the beginning and then started skipping through it, and it was like, this just looks like Borderlands.
There's some better videos on YouTube that you can actually pull up that kind of breaks it down and highlights different things.
because I mean, I saw some of the new stuff that they're showing off, but it's like tiny changes. It's like it's stuff that if you played Borderlands 2, which I think we all did, you could you go and be like, oh, that's cool that you can do that now. But it's not like, oh, this is a cool thing for like a shooter in general, you know?
Oh, anything innovative.
It's like it really didn't show me anything that looked super like new flashy things. It's not changing anything that's core to what Borderlands is. And I know for a lot of people that's exactly what they want. Like they wanted just more Borderlands. I kind of wanted to see what else Borderlands could offer, and nothing they've shown so far is kind of giving me that impression. Like it still looks fun and everything. Yeah. But I'm still kind of lukewarm on it. Like it's not getting me super excited.
That's basically that was basically my impression. I've really felt like, okay, it's definitely a third installation, right? And we're not talking about the Telltale stuff. The third installation, yeah, they upgraded little things here and there, but it's nothing that makes me like, oh, I have to play this version of Borderlands. I'm the jury's still out. You know, I have to see more. I really do.
So a little bit of what I've seen was, and I get what you're saying. A lot of times, what we think about a game is, you know, they'll take a franchise and they'll completely change it. And what we'll be thinking is they should have just kept that last game and just made these changes to it.
Right.
And just added the new stuff.
So there's got to be a middle ground. You know what
I mean?
Yeah.
So just a few points of things I saw during the trailers were the weapons look way more unique. The legendaries look way more unique.
Yeah.
The different gun types now. There's walking guns. There's guns that shoot at.
Hilarious.
Yeah. They have secondary functions. Where if you remember, like kind of like Perfect Dark, where every gun had like a secondary function. Cover is destructible. So if you're hiding behind something or an enemy, it can be destroyed from multiple shots or whatever it is. The characters look very unique. Now they made it so that way your abilities you're using more than you used to before. Abilities before you use like maybe once a fight. Now you're able to use them multiple times because the cooldowns are a lot lower. The characters, their abilities look very unique if you haven't seen that. So I would definitely check that out. You got another Siren. You got a guy, forget his name. Don't hold it against me. He uses multiple gadgets.
I don't remember any of their names other than Tiny Tina right now.
Yes.
Which I think is cool. That's a nice carryover.
She was a really cool character.
Yeah, she was cool. And then so a lot of this stuff is small changes. Oh, biggest thing that I'm loving is the instant loot. So now we don't have to fight over that weapon or who killed it or rush to it. You have a loot ninja just picking everything up. Now
Why do I feel like they had that in the last game?
No, everybody you saw the same loot.
Oh,
this one you see the same loot. But it's instant loot. So we see the same stuff. It's going to drop for my level. Your stuff is going to drop for your level. But me picking it up doesn't take away from you.
Okay.
So
it's basically what they're doing in the Division right now, right?
Exactly.
Okay,
yeah,
got you.
It was never an issue before though because everybody just did the duplication glitch. So it was always kind of a share economy in Borderlands for the most part.
But if you dropped it, it dropped for the loot glitch was more useful towards endgame. Right. So like if I was helping you level up and a legendary drop, guess what? It was dropping for your level. But no, if we're in a game, it drops for my level as well.
Yeah. Okay, I feel that.
And what do you guys think about Randy Pitchford and the allegations against him? Do you think that's going to hurt the game, or do you see any ramifications from that?
Can I say why you said Pitchford like that?
I had to put the emphasis on it to make sure I didn't say pitchfork.
Yeah, because you were calling him Pitchfork
like multiple times. Like
you were convinced that man's last name was Pitchfork.
Hey man, it's like Mario, you know. It just comes out.
Oh man, I hate the way you say Mario.
But yeah, Randy. If you don't know, Randy Pitchford is the CEO, head of Gearbox, who are the people who develop Borderlands, right? So he is the big boss. He doesn't really have anyone above him to tell him what to do. 2K is the publisher, but they just do all the marketing and stuff and kind of fund the game's transmission. Randy is the boss.
Yep.
But he's been having a number of different things come up unrelated to Borderlands that just look bad in general. Like the first of which was apparently he's been accused. I think there's an ongoing case right now
Yep.
of taking $12 million from some kind of side deal, and instead of allocating it to Gearbox, he kind of placed it in a separate account for like himself. So there were some people, specifically a friend of his who worked for Gearbox, who they had a falling out, and immediately went and told this story, like, to media.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so like they're not cool anymore. He went like, "Oh, Randy's a piece of garbage. Like, look at the stuff he does."
Oh my gosh.
But then he added to this situation the fact that apparently there was an incident where Randy left behind a thumb drive full of like Gearbox assets, like Borderlands 3 secrets and stuff, as well as a video of a cam girl doing lewd sexual acts.
Only thing I heard was the Claptrap actor.
Yeah, he beat up Claptrap. That's
yeah. That's the most recent one. That's the most recent one. So this is all before even that.
Man, this is wild.
So, but but keep in mind, this is an allegation from an ex-friend of his. So he's saying that the girl. He's saying the girl
a little bit.
He's saying that the girl on this video was underage. Randy went on some other podcast and said that she was not. That it was a cam girl site, so everyone is over 18 or whatever.
Yeah,
it's like
exactly.
a barely legal tag thing or whatever, and that he only had it on there because what she was doing he considered to be like a magic trick, and he's a magician. Like Randy Pitcher is a literal magician, if you don't know. Like the guy does magic tricks.
I Google imaged him.
Yeah, if you watched the original Borderlands 3 reveal, he wasted a ton of stage time doing a literal magic trick. Like a good 45 minutes of him doing a card trick with like some fans he pulled up on stage. It was bad. It was as bad as it sounds. But this is the boss. No one can really say anything.
Can you guys see that? Look at that shirt. Okay. I knew he was a magician.
So that's the first half of the stuff, right? At the gameplay reveal that we were just talking about, he got on stage and said Borderlands 3 will not have any microtransactions of any kind.
Oh, yes.
Game Informer then said, wait, no, they're selling cosmetics and stuff. Those are microtransactions, so that's kind of untrue what Randy said. Randy replied to the head of Game Informer, Andy McNamara, and basically said, why are you guys trying to fuck me over on this?
Just let me tell this lie.
Right.
It's just a small
He
lie.
was like, he was saying, you know what I meant. I meant no
though.
loot boxes, no pay to win, blah, 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 blah. I wasn't talking about cosmetic stuff, blah, blah, blah. But, like, they're like, look, even if that's what you meant, like, you can't just, like, what you said was untrue.
That was wild.
Right, yeah, like, you can't say there's no microtransactions, because a microtransaction is, you can purchase something in a video game for a small amount of money.
Yeah.
That extends to cosmetics. That extends to loot boxes. It's all of that stuff.
Anything with that credit card.
Exactly. So they corrected this man, and he basically went on a back and forth Twitter war with the head of Game Informer for like 2-3 days. They were going back and forth. Then he started, responding to like fans who were responding to him and stuff. It just got really ugly.
He said, "Why you gotta be so rude?"
So cool. Now, do you think that's gonna hurt the game? All of these.
To be honest, I'm not sure it'll hurt Borderlands 3, but it makes me wonder like. What is Borderlands 3 really gonna? Because when you really think about it, and I've been saying this for a while now. Yeah. Gearbox really only came into like the limelight, like they only rose to prominence after the first Borderlands.
Yeah.
I remember it was way back when they had a cover story on Game Informer, and it was before they added that cel shaded art style.
Yeah.
So like they were talking about the randomly generated guns and how there would be like millions and millions of guns in the game.
I do
but
remember
it looked way more muddy and generic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So even though people were looking at it because it was kind of cool what they were promising, the game kind of looked ugly and drab. When they changed that art style, it got a boost.
Yep.
And that happened like super late
because
too.
We only had a couple cel shaded shooters before that. There's one called like 7, I think it was called back in the day. You remember that one? And just maybe 1 or 2 more that actually did something with cel shading that was action based. So yeah, as soon as they changed that up, everyone's like, "Holy crap!"
Everyone was really paying attention.
We forgot about that.
So the first game came out decent. The second one came out huge hit. Borderlands 2 put Gearbox on the map. Gearbox is also a publisher now because of Borderlands 2.
Yeah.
But everything else they've released that wasn't a Borderlands game has been not just bad, but like incredibly bad. Like it's significantly bad. They released
What was
Aliens
that baby Overwatch game? What was it called?
Battleborn.
Paladins?
No,
No,
Battleborn.
Battleborn.
Right, it came out along like very near the same time as Overwatch did,
like
and was
within
completely
a week before, 2 weeks before.
like I want to say like a week before, and it was completely overshadowed. Like no one cared about it or liked it. Overwatch ate their lunch, and then threw their lunch in the garbage afterwards.
And you knew that any one of your friends that said, "Hey, Battleborn's actually pretty good," you're like, "Stop, man. Why are you lying?"
You must not have Overwatch.
You must not play Overwatch.
Right. Like other than Battleborn, what else did they release? The Aliens Colonial Marines game, which had controversy because the game was so bad that Sega tried to sue them because they're saying you must not have used the money we gave you to make this game. Like, because it was completely unplayable. And then also Duke Nukem Forever, that 10-year, like however long that game was passed between studios. Gearbox eventually got the rights to it and finished it, and of course it was garbage. So like this is their track record. Like other than Borderlands, Gearbox is actually a really terrible publisher.
But
they're
developer. Good at Borderlands. They're really good at Borderlands.
Only Borderlands. So with all this Randy stuff and all these other bad games, it's kind of like this is their last shot. Like this game has to be good. Or what? Like, what are they?
Oh, no, you're right. If this game is not good, they're donezo, right? But But you gotta think about it. Randy's been doing this stuff probably since the first Borderlands. All right, all this craziness, and people survived. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying they pushed out a good game with Borderlands 2. He's still doing crazy stuff. Yeah, it's more in the public eye, but I think they can push out a good game. I just haven't seen that spark yet. There it is. I haven't seen that spark yet.
Yeah, Borderlands 3, I feel like for the most part it's getting a pass because of the strength of the previous games.
Yeah.
Like I personally never played any of the Handsome Jack collection.
No.
Me neither.
I mean,
the pre-sequel or anything like that. Yeah.
So I don't know, and I feel like that wasn't kind of as well received as the other two. So they're kind of coming off of a misfire with the Borderlands games. So they
were kind of like hardcore games, like kind of like the Kingdom Hearts games. There's been multiple prequels and tweens. Some people who didn't get it, but they still were big fans of it. So they waited for like a real sequel to come out to actually start playing it.
Right. Yeah. So for other fans like that, you're basically saying that doesn't faze them. Pre-sequel. Okay, it makes sense.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm with Terrence on this, kind of waiting and seeing if there is something more Borderlands. But nonetheless, I hope it does good. Like I'm not sitting here saying like I don't want it to be a good game. Like I hope it's good.
I do want to see Randy brought to some justice though, because I'm very upset that he's out there living his best life.
You just need to chill. Like just go sit down. Appoint somebody else to like be front and center if you need anybody to be front and center, because you're not the wave right now, buddy.
He's the angry kid at the kindergarten that's allowed to have a bat, and he's just running around smacking everybody. Like, I don't know, those are some crazy allegations, and he's still doing his thing. I don't know.
All right, so we'll move on from Borderlands. Let's go back to movies real quick.
Oh.
People are. It's kind of funny. Like video game movies are back, and there are two super big franchises that both are doing like literally the same thing: live action versions of like cute and cuddly characters. We have Detective Pikachu, and we have Sonic the Hedgehog. And it's crazy to me how Detective Pikachu is. People heard that idea and was like, "What? What are you talking about?" Yeah. But then when the trailer came out, was like, "You know what? This actually looks pretty good." Mm-hmm. And like,
it's dope.
This movie comes out tomorrow. Like, I've heard some people have actually seen it. It's getting good reviews.
Yeah.
Detective Pikachu apparently is a good movie.
We're gonna find out soon.
But then Sonic the Hedgehog has had the worst impression.
And when people heard about it, they were excited about it.
At least in
my circles.
If you don't remember the Detective Pikachu game,
Oh, I remember the
Right,
Detective Pikachu
yeah,
game.
it was based off that one-off game.
Yeah.
And then who does the voice? So Ryan Reynolds. People were instantly drawn to.
I thought you
Yeah.
meant the original Pikachu. Yeah, Ryan Reynolds. Yeah.
Then when they saw it, they were like,
But I guess what I'm saying is, like, with Sonic the Hedgehog, people heard about it, like they're gonna make a updated movie, and they're like, okay, yeah, this is gonna be good. You know, we have the technology, we can do this right. And so, the converse of Detective Pikachu, when we did see the trailer, we're like, what is that? Is that what we was waiting on?
What is this man Sonic costume?
when I heard they were making a Sonic movie, I was like, oh no.
Really?
That's honestly how I
Yes.
felt. Like,
No.
I'm not the biggest Sonic fan in the world. Like,
I would rather have an anime. Just give me a Sonic anime.
yeah, that would be
Leave
fine.
leave the movie alone.
Okay, I can see that.
I just don't see it translating to the big screen.
They've had some really high-res versions of Sonic in the recent games that look a lot better than what they just put in that trailer.
Right.
So I was looking forward to more of those, like that direction that they were going before in the games, in a live action. I was like, okay, yeah, this could be cool. And I saw that, and I was like, I want to like this. I really do. I promise you I want to. But every time I look at that abomination, it looks sick.
But here's the thing.
Or it's a weird child.
Apparently, they've heard the internet's outcry, and they're gonna
Yeah.
change the look of Sonic.
Yeah.
So we don't know what that's gonna look like yet. It could be better, could be worse. Who knows?
But what faith does that give you in the director?
Right,
Already,
right,
it's
and like the
like,
entire
yeah.
project, because they got this far with that Sonic.
To
Like, what does
release
that?
a
What does
trailer.
that? What does that tell you about kind of what the plot is gonna be? Like what the feel is gonna be for them? Like it doesn't, like, no part of that trailer looks good. Not just Sonic visually, but like no part of like the acting. Like Jim Carrey's in it. Everybody loves Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
Hopefully he does something cool.
He's gonna be carrying that mug like a.
You know, he's funny,
Like crazy.
but like, what does he have to work with here? Like, what did they write for that man to say?
I'm
Well,
trying to
also,
figure
it
out.
puts me in a... No, go ahead.
I'm trying to figure out how much money I would pay to be in that office when they were reading through the comments.
Oh, man.
When they were reading through the comments, they said, "What do you mean
That
people
is-
don't like it?" And there's that one assistant in the back, like, "I told you."
Right? No, it had, in all honesty, it had, because there's no way people like who, because artists are the people who made that thing. You know, people
Yeah.
who go to school and learn art. You know, some of them were video game fans. They're probably nerdy people. They probably have some kind of affinity for Sonic. And when they were told to make Sonic look
There's
like that,
no
they were
way.
not on board. I don't believe that a
No.
whole studio was like, "This is what we want to do with Sonic." Somebody.
They probably were trying to get away from the failures of the recent video game. They're like, let's make him look different. But
Which is
that
stupid.
wasn't why the game
Yeah,
failed, because
yeah.
of how he looked.
Right. You know what? There's
'Cause
all
he
there's all
looked
sorts
good
of weird
in all
decisions.
the games.
Right. He looked the same in all the
Game
games for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
For the most part, but the gameplay was just way too repetitive.
Even the
That was
redesign for
tough.
that cartoon, Sonic Boom, people didn't like it because it wasn't regular Sonic, but he still looked
But
like
it still
Sonic.
He did.
But like, there's
Knuckles
all
was
sorts of weird decisions. Like the music that they picked for this trailer, "Gangster's Paradise."
Oh my god.
I
That
could
had
not
nothing to do with
understand
nothing.
what they were thinking. Somebody gave me a little bit of insight. They went, "Oh, back in the '90s, which is where Sonic, hails from. That's his heyday.
This was a big song.
Yeah, "Gangster's Paradise" was a big song. So it's
Why
like,
would
Doesn't
they
someone
use,
went
translate
like,
to
"Oh,
now.
But who
What
did
if
the
we
original music for Sonic though? Right? A lot of that was done by Michael Jackson, right? Why not use one of his songs or try to spring for sound alike? You know what I mean? I could find you like 7 sound alikes on YouTube today. That would be better than that
It's like-
song.
But it's like they were trying to evoke
Nostalgia.
a 90s feeling, yeah. But it's like, that doesn't help this trailer. Like, yes, that was probably the #1 song in America in 1992 or whatever year the Sonic game came out.
Yeah.
But like, how close is that correlation with people today? Like, do they hear "Gangsta's Paradise" and immediately think Sonic? Or
Sonic,
play
no.
Sonic and immediately think
Not
"Gangsta's
one
Paradise"?
person.
Like, it was so tangential. Like, it doesn't make enough sense to warrant them actually going through with it, but they went through with it anyway.
Okay, look, here, I got you, right? This would be a great replacement for that. Sonic Adventure 2, the first level with Knuckles, there's a song called Pumpkin Hill. If
Right.
they did the trailer with Pumpkin Hill,
Like a remix. That would have been dope. That would have been dope.
That
Like,
would have
literally
been
would've dope.
amazing, and every Sonic Adventure 2 fan would be in that theater. I promise you.
But that's part of the problem.
Song.
They're not looking at Sonic Adventure 2. They're looking at literal Sonic the Hedgehog. They want this to be the origin of Sonic, right? So they're not gonna tap into anything cool or good that came after that first game. And to me personally, that first game's not good. I don't like Sonic the Hedgehog, like the 2D.
I know you don't.
I've never really liked those
like
games.
just press forward, and you know it's
I
more
like
than that.
Sonic.
You know it's
Sonic
more than
2 was
that. You
good.
keep saying that. No, you're right, Jeff.
What I will say is I am worried, and I know people love Jim Carrey. I am worried because Dr. Robotnik isn't a comedic villain.
He was definitely spazzy.
Well, the cartoon he wasn't funny. He was just dim-witted. He was smart, but he was dim-witted. Stupid stuff happened. Like the cartoon used to come on Channel 9. Sonic used to eat chili dogs.
Right.
He wasn't the comedic, relief. Even in the more darker, was it Channel 7 cartoon, Fox cartoon, he was more serious. So I'm just interested to see how Jim Carrey's going to translate to being Dr. Robotnik.
Right. I think he's going to be a spazzy jerk to everybody who he feels is less intelligent than him, which is, in his mind, it's everybody. But I think he's just going to miss the primary details. It's going to be, basically what the Sonic series is Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner.
That's literally what came to mind. Like,
Sonic's just
you got this super smart person being outwitted by something that's fast. Like, it's literally Wile E. Coyote.
That's what it's always been.
Yeah. But on the opposite end of the spectrum, I'm actually really excited to watch Detective Pikachu. Like they really took what's cool, and not to be honest, they didn't do what I was about to say. They didn't take what's cool about Pokemon. They took the series and did their own thing with it. I know Detective Pikachu is a game, but it's like when you think about Pokemon, you don't think about the Detective Pikachu game, which was more story based than anything else. They literally went and found a story in the Pokemon universe to then, actualize in live action.
That was worth telling.
Apparently,
people
they
like mystery.
Right? Yeah, they went and found a deviant artist, just a regular internet fan artist, who, in his spare time, would make realistic depictions of Pokemon, and used him as a consultant to make the Pokemon that they used.
That's what's up.
So it was someone who had positive feedback from a Pokemon community about the way his Pokemon renders looked. So it's they actually cared about that franchise. It seemed like they really wanted to do a good job. They put time, they put effort. They came at it from a unique angle.
Yep.
I
think they got some good actors too.
Right? Yeah, they
really
got
good
quality talent. Not to say James Marsden and Ben Schwartz, who does the voice of Sonic, and Jim Carrey aren't talented, but I really feel like you could have put anybody in those roles.
They should have just given the rights to Disney. And just let Disney
Real
do
talk,
it.
Disney would have done it.
Like he was in Wreck-It Ralph.
Disney would have killed it.
We'll never know now.
We'll never know. And I've seen this meme on the internet. It say if that movie don't open up with Sega, then they walking straight out. You know what I mean?
It might though, because it seems like there's a lack of substance. They're trying to just hit you from all angles with just nostalgia, iconography, sound effects, and because in the trailer it said this is the genesis of a hero. It was look, Genesis, you put Genesis in the title. I like that. Yes, I did like that, but that's not a movie.
You're right. You're right.
You gotta put in a bit more effort than just reminding me that yes, this is the thing I like.
That's the equivalent of a fake trailer that someone put online.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It's no better. So we'll see what happens with Sonic. Detective Pikachu is already reviewing well, so I'm going to assume that that's actually a really good movie. We'll see how much money it makes in the future, but Pokemon is usually a cash cow, so
yes,
not too worried about
anything Pokemon.
And I'm not ashamed
of going to go see it.
I'm not ashamed.
Yeah, because it's kind of even if it's a train wreck, you kind of want to see how it happens.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So,
speaking of cash, right?
Well, we're gonna cut back to video games. Some more serious topics here.
Bring it down. Simmer down.
very recently, I want to say just this week, the government has released a bill. A U.S. senator specifically
Yup.
has introduced a bill that may ban microtransactions in games that are targeted towards minors, or at least sold to minors.
That's the key right there. Sold to minors. Yeah.
So, as you may or may not know, this microtransaction thing and the legality of it being considered gambling has kind of been an ongoing thing for the past couple of years. A couple of other countries have flat out banned it, like they've considered it straight up gambling, because the odds of your chances to spend money and get the thing you want out of these loot boxes are never disclosed to you. Yeah. So they basically tell these game publishers, you have to take this out of your game, or at least disclose the amounts or whatnot, or we're going to fine you. And I believe EA is actually trying to fight it. Like, I think it was a case in Belgium specifically with
Star Wars
Battlefront.
2.
Yeah, Star Wars Battlefront 2.
Yeah.
And how terrible their microtransactions and loot box stuff was. But then Overwatch, which is like one of the biggest games, and kind of popularized the whole loot box thing, because theirs is kind of less predatory, but it still kind of functions in the same manner where you don't know what you're going to get. You can spend a lot of money on these things looking for one specific thing and just never get it.
And the longer you play, the worse your chances are of getting what you want.
Right. Essentially, what this bill is focusing on are the children. They say kids, won't be able to discern that they're kind of being manipulated by algorithms to kind of want to spend money on getting these things. Like, they're not old enough and mature enough to kind of regulate that. And if they have, and like they feel like some game makers are aware of this and kind of are implementing it anyway. Even if a game is rated mature, they know younger kids will play it, and so they implement these things to kind of catch them. And like, this bill is supposedly going to basically ban the inclusion of loot boxes or microtransactions of that nature for any game that could possibly be sold to a minor. So it's not a law yet, but they're introducing this possibility. Like, what do you guys think about that?
Honestly, I'm for it. I'm not gonna lie. Now, normally, the senator that brought it up, he's a Republican senator from Montana. And Josh Hawley, that's right. I normally don't side with Republican bills. They just seem mad extreme. But this one, I think it's fleshed out to be safe for our youth. And to help battle a subtle addiction to gambling. Real talk.
Yeah, because real talk is kind of what it is.
I agree. Point. I believe that it will help, but also I think a lot of companies use the microtransactions to help kind of pay for free DLC.
Right.
Like Overwatch needs to get free heroes because people buy loot boxes. It's a way to help pay for more content without actually charging for said content.
Right.
I agree with that, and I definitely know that, especially today, games cost so much to make, and we're not paying that much more for games over the last 10, 20 years.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
We're not paying more for games, so they do have to get that income somehow. Microtransactions, I agree with them, yes, but being sold to minors with a random chance of things happening, no.
Right, because I've never liked the random element of loot boxes.
Yeah.
Like, because I agree with that exact same point. Like, game developers kind of need to monetize these games they're making because we're not paying more money for them. Yeah. Like, if you were to hear like, oh, this game that's coming out is now $80, you're gonna have a fit. You're not paying that.
Nope. And there's too many indie developers out there that'll make a $60 game. There's too many that'll make a good $60 game.
Right. So I'm all for them monetizing things that don't take away from the actual game. Yeah. Like, the cosmetic stuff makes sense. Yeah. Like, if you want to pay to get like flashing things on your character, or like a skin for, a mount or something in a game, sure, charge money for that stuff, because it gives people who don't want to engage in that the option to not do it and not feel like they're not able to play the game.
Right.
But it, helps the developer kind of recoup some funds to make more content if they need to. So My issue with the introduction of this bill is I want to know what the language is in it. Like what are like, and the thing is, I don't know. I've never heard of Josh Hawley before this. You know,
Apparently,
this could
he's
be
been doing a lot of stuff. He's been targeting the tech industry, not necessarily in a bad way, but him and his crew. They did. I was just reading up on it. They did another. There's a pay to play with Candy Crush that they were combating. Or not pay to play, play to win. Pay to win.
pay to win.
Yeah,
Right.
and it was like $150 bundle that they were putting up on there, and people were buying it. And he's like, "No, this is stupid. You're not gonna have a free game, right? And then to win the game, you have to pay $150." So that's just
Right.
some of the stuff that he's done in the past. He's definitely got his eye on the tech industry, and I think he can do this right.
Okay, so that's my concern is that they get the wording right so that they are actually targeting just the predatory versions
Yes.
of this and
Yes.
kind of letting, because the best possible example of a microtransaction is a thing that does not affect gameplay, and that even if it's like a random generated thing, you
Yeah.
would also have the option to pay for exactly the thing you want. Like you can maybe pay for a thing that's maybe less money that can give you a random assortment of things, but then
Right.
at a slightly higher cost, I can get exactly what I paid my
want.
money for. Because that's the main issue is you put in money
Yeah.
to a thing and you don't know that you're going to get exactly what you pay for. That's what makes it gambling.
Do you know what you
Or if it's
described
even
just now?
possible to get it.
Exactly.
But you know who's doing that right?
Yeah.
Apex Legends.
Are
And yeah, Apex Legends is doing it right because you can buy exactly what you want, right? You can pay to get the credits if you want that, or you can use the Apex boxes. And the cool thing about their Apex boxes is they claim you'll never get a duplicate.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, because that's
Yeah.
also like crazy messed up. That for
Yeah.
a virtual thing, they
We're
give you the
getting
possibility of
duplicates.
giving you a duplicate.
Man, let me tell you something, right? I bought $20 worth of loot boxes before
That was
this
your first
last
mistake.
Overwatch. I was scared. This is the thing, right? I bought 20, or it comes out to be 22 boxes, and about 7 of them were all filled with duplicates.
Hmm.
It hurt my soul. Okay.
It should have. I hope you
And-
learned your lesson.
And what I mean, I said those were the only ones that were filled with duplicates. That means all the other ones had 1 or 2 duplicates in them. And maybe I got a voice line for Bastion. There's another version of beep boop beep, right? Like it was frustrating. So going back to what I feel like a good microtransaction system is Apex Legends. Like I said, they got the random boxes that you can earn just by playing. You can buy the currency that you want, and you can buy any specific skin or anything that you want. You can get it if you can get it. That's what
That's
I'm
the
trying to say.
trifecta. Yeah, those are the 3 things you want if you're gonna do microtransactions.
And you don't want
right.
duplicates in the boxes. Yeah.
And like as long as it doesn't affect gameplay, you can spend your money and it goes to exactly what you want.
Yep.
Perfect. People will be happy to spend the dough.
Yeah.
But
Most definitely.
we'll see where this bill goes if it even passes and becomes a thing that publishers have to deal with. Because normally the gaming industry will self-regulate. The ESRB was them taking heat from the government for mature content and deciding like, nope,
Yeah.
we don't want you to get involved. We'll figure out how to regulate this stuff ourselves. And for the most part, they've kind of done a decent job of that, I think. So in general, I don't like it when the government tries to control art in any capacity.
Yeah.
But this is so business centric, it does kind of seem necessary. Like this
Not
is kind
just
of
that,
a
the art experience is very immersive and have deep psychological effects. If not, if you're not ready for it.
And
So,
it's that freemium situation too. Is just needs to be regulated. I think there was an episode of South Park where the Canadian government made like a Terrence and Phillip game, and they were like, "But it's free." It's like it's not free if you charge XXXX for this.
Mhm.
right. Yeah. So of course South Park took this issue on.
I love South Park.
But yeah, we'll see where that goes
Hmm.
in the future. Getting into even more seedy goings on in the gaming industry, and it's going to get worse after that. Riot Games, the makers of League of Legends, super big, successful game publisher, recently had an employee walkout, the first in the gaming industry. So about 150 of the staff, not the entirety of the staff, but 150 people walked out of work to protest the company trying to move them away from seeking any legal action against the company through forced arbitration. That basically means you have to sit down in a room with, a bunch of their lawyers and just you, and you kind of come to an agreement and you sign a disclosure that says you will not sue about any of this stuff because we've come to this agreement, right? As well as some sexual harassment claims that were lobbied against an executive in the company who was put on leave but not fired, and the people who were doing the accusing still don't feel like anything's been done yet. Like, it's kind of still nebulous and in the air. So a bunch of coworkers in solidarity for both these issues walked out. This was what, 2 days ago, I think?
Yeah, I think so.
I think the
5th
or 6th of May.
Yeah.
It comes for these specific reasons, but this is also happening in the midst of a bigger conversation about crunch in game development in general. Like, there are a lot of studios, employees specifically, who are getting expose. Like, Kotaku wrote an article about Rockstar and how they were undergoing crunch in the years leading up to the release of Red Dead 2. There were some other instances that I can't remember off the top of my head, but it seems to be happening all over the industry. All these instances of employees getting,
abused.
laid off. Yeah, abused, essentially, being laid off with no notice, like the whole Telltale situation. You guys remember that?
Man,
yeah.
Like, they got noticed, within the week that the entire company was imploding. There was no benefits on hold, no pensions. Not pensions, that's the wrong word.
401k.
Unemployment.
Severance. There was
Severance pay.
Right. Yeah, and the whole thing's kind of imploded. So, like, being a game developer is, like, a really risky job.
It definitely feels that way.
And they put in a lot of unforgiving hours. Like, they work all this overtime and don't get paid for it because it's kind of just become the culture of the industry. And, like, now it's kind of getting to a breaking point where people are looking at unionizing and possibly because everyone else unionizes, like the movie industry.
I was just about to say, I feel like it's taking them a very long time to unionize, and there might have been, monetary incentives to not unionize. But, I mean, I feel like that would have been the first thing. As soon as we realized, oh, snaps, this is the gaming industry, let's unionize so we don't get abused like everybody else in history,
Right. It's a risky thing to try to go against the big company.
Oh, yeah.
And say, we want this, we want that.
It's easy
unless everyone does it together. Yeah. And big companies are really good at trying to stop people from doing just that.
I certainly have whole departments on that. You know what I mean? Those corporate
like
sharks.
my first ever job was at Kmart.
Okay.
And part of my training was to watch a video that was all about anti-unionization.
Yeah. Same thing at Target. At Target.
So like they don't like it. They don't want you to do it. Nope. They try to feed you propaganda to pull you away from it. So I'm sure it's the same thing at even these larger companies. Yeah. But this is basically what unions do. They organize. They walk out. They protest to try to get the companies to bend to their will. I feel like we're going to start seeing a lot more of this.
Hopefully.
The only question is from where.
Yeah, that's a good question. And like I have a cousin, right? He graduated from the Art Institute in North Hollywood, doing game development. And he, in the last year and some change, he's had to switch studios so many times because they just keep dropping out. Now, granted, some indie studios just don't have the gas they thought they did. But even some of the bigger ones gets in for a week and then they're like, oh, we don't need you, bye. And it sucks. You know what I mean? Like, there's no incentive. There's no job security. Yeah. Job security. There it is. There's no job security, and it's heavy. You know what I mean? These people need to be treated better. They do stuff that makes the world better. You know what I mean?
Right.
And not even just for our entertainment, but a lot of these same developers do things that we use in the military. For example, like UAVs. Not UAVs. Unmanned aircrafts. What are they called?
Oh, drones.
Drones, yeah. Sorry, I'm having a brain fart. But these drones, the drone softwares and stuff is designed by people who can also do video game work. You know what I mean?
Game design. Okay, that's
Exactly.
a lot of sense. There's a lot of crossover.
Yeah, there's a lot of crossover, not just in the military field, but other things as well. But
matter of fact, the Notre Dame Cathedral that burned down the other day, there was a news story that they were using some of the 3D renders and scans
from Assassin's
Creed Unity.
Oh, Unity, yeah.
So it's like that's significant work that's being done by people in the gaming industry, yet they have no
job security,
protection, no job security. Like that's kind of
a crime.
Up.
It's a crime, and they need to unionize. I think they need to unionize, and they need to fight for their rights. Real talk.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not going to come from the game companies. They're going to keep this method for as long as possible. So it really is going to have to come down to some grassroots organizations.
And I feel like as gamers, we need to. I feel like as gamers, we need to do what we can to help them.
Right. Kind of.
Yeah, most definitely.
Boycott. Well, that's where it kind of gets a little tricky.
Yeah.
Like when a game gets released by a development studio, it's the boss that gets paid first, because they get the seed money from the publisher, right? So they make the game. The developers are getting paid off of that, but they only get bonuses after the game's released and it sells well.
Right.
So if we start hearing stories that say Borderlands 3, their people are getting a bunch of crunch and like their employees aren't being treated well, they're working super late, all weekends, not seeing their families or whatever, and then the game comes out, we're disgusted by the story, so we don't buy the game. They just don't make that money.
Yeah.
And that really sucks. So it's like, how do we as gamers try to help
them without hurting them?
How do we? Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's a tricky question. I feel like hopefully we'll get some answers in the near future about what we can do to help, if anything. Like maybe even if some game industry unions pop up, like maybe we can donate or advertise or what need be. Trying to maybe even just talking about it. Just bring more attention to that issue.
Most definitely.
And our last topic here is regarding Magic the Gathering. More morality.
More morality.
So, Blue, I think you brought this to our attention.
Yeah.
You want to go into exactly what happened here?
So this one dude, his name is Watanabe. He's a Japanese Magic the Gathering player. This dude had marks on the back of his cards in the recent tournament, which is super cheating in Magic. Like, that is a criminal offense. You could smack the player's mom and he wouldn't be as mad.
Because I'm not a Magic the Gathering player.
Okay. Yeah.
But I do find that game interesting. Like, it looks like a dope
ton of fun
system.
Yeah.
Like, how exactly does marking cards in Magic aid you in any way?
So if you have certain marks, let's say you got like one scratch mark on the back of your card, and you already have this in your head. Okay, if that's one scratch mark I see on the top of my deck, I know that's going to be a land that's coming out next, or I know it's this card that I've been waiting on. So you can kind of plan 2-3 steps ahead because you know what's coming out. Right? So the whole thing is...
It's not like you can just pick what card you draw next, right? It's a random...
You shuffled it, you give it to your opponent, they shuffle it, or they cut it, excuse me. They don't shuffle it, they cut it. And then you put it down, and you leave it from there. That's all randomized, right? After that, you draw, and you can see obviously you can see the back of the card, right? And so you're not supposed to be able to see through the card. And that's basically what... He's saying he didn't know that the card was altered. Now, this guy has been a champion 3-4 times before that, starting back in like 2009. But kind of makes you wonder: has he been doing this? Has he been doing this for a long time? Because he's a formidable player. Now, granted, even at the same tournament, there was the ref made a bad call, right, on one of his earlier games, and they had to reset the board. At that time, Watanabe was at a disadvantage. When they reset the board, he ended up winning. So a lot of people are looking like, okay, he just had this unlikely win. Then we found scratches in his card. Like, what's going on here?
So the whole thing just looks sketchy.
The whole thing looks very sketchy, and he's just like, I didn't know. And so,
I mean, is that his only defense? I
basically, and I don't know what else he could say.
I mean, is So what's the final ruling? Like, are they saying like, oh yeah, he
They're
cheated,
investigating.
it's done? And
They're investigating it.
I don't know how much investigation you can do. I don't know if they're bringing in forensics, but I think they're gonna just keep asking him the same story till he changes it. But yeah, as far as I think I looked up the article like 2 hours ago, there hasn't been a verdict on that. But it just kind of sucks that something like that. Like I said, that's like a cardinal rule of any card game. You're not having no scratches or any kind of markings on your cards. How was that overlooked for so long? Because granted, you can have a side deck, right? And what that means is you enter the tournament with one deck, but then you got like 15. I think it's 15 cards on the side that you might want to switch out depending on who you're playing.
Sideboard.
Yeah, exactly, right? So he might have had them hidden in his sideboard the whole time until the last match or something like that. But how's nobody looking out for this? This is a cardinal rule.
So I mean, like at the start of these tournaments, everyone's cards get inspected.
You would think so.
You would think so. And that's
I guess not. So
either they're not, or there's very lazy inspection, right? I think that's what it's coming down to, because somebody eventually caught it.
right.
Yeah,
So I mean, altered after the inspection.
it's very possible too.
Oh, you think someone set him up? You think it's a conspiracy?
he could have done it, or he could someone else do it so he wasn't there. I mean, it's shaking the faith in the integrity of these championship Magic the Gathering games and frankly any other card games.
Right. I mean, yeah, that's. Personally, I wouldn't think that this is something this guy would have done from the start. To me, it feels more like once you become a champion and like maybe you're undefeated for a little bit, that pressure starts to mount where you're like, oh, I can't lose. Cheating. Yeah, so you get desperate. Like you really just don't want to lose, so you start to do the dumb, desperate things that you feel will kind of secure your victory, and then you wind up in this kind of situation. So who knows? We haven't gotten a verdict. We don't know for sure.
Background on his legacy, right? I'm going to read just this last little paragraph from Kotaku article about this. Right. It said, Watanabe has won Magic's World Championship in 2012. He was Player of the Year in 2009 and 2012. He has 7 Grand Prix victories, was inducted into the Hall of Game in 2016, and won the World Magic Cup in 2017 with Japan. So this dude definitely does have a lot to his name.
Right.
It's scary that either nobody's checking him or like he's cheating. I don't know.
I mean, yeah, like, there's no way to know for sure right now. We'll let them get through their investigation and hopefully well, I mean,
some light shit on it. Either way, the damage is done.
Right, yeah, like his reputation's already kind of in the toilet.
Yeah.
So
damage is done.
Who knows?
Oof.
But for the most part, that is the first ever BBET Games Cast.
Hey.
Did it. If you are doing us the great favor as to be listening to this, write us. Let us know what you thought about it. Yeah. Let us know if you have any questions for us or topics that you want us to take on. As for now, we're going to sign off. Definitely check the Mixer. We stream weekly. What's coming up? Oh, I won't talk about myself today because I actually got to stream in an hour. Play Sacred. But and who knows when this is going to come out. I'm hoping at some point next week. So we probably won't know exactly what's on the schedule next week. But definitely hit all of our Mixer channels. Yep. I am Sigma again. You can catch me at mixer.com/SigmaGears9. Where can we catch you, Jeff?
Hey, I'm Superman Jeff. You can catch me at mixer.com/SupermanJeff12.
Hey.
And Blue?
And you already know me. It's your boy Blue. Mixer.com/BLUB0NESXB. All right, that stands for Xbox.
All right, y'all. Thanks a lot for doing this with me. Hopefully we get a better flow with this stuff and kind of expand it. This is going to go up on YouTube eventually, so check that in the future as well. Thanks, everybody. Peace.
Peace.
Deuces.